Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally doing the Draw My Life tag, and I'm doing it with a lot of other ladies in a collab, so be sure to check out all of their channels too. I was born in 1980 in Houston, Texas, and please pardon my terrible drawing of Texas. After spending most of my life there, I should be better at this, but yeah, I guess not. In 1984, our family was blessed by my sister, Melissa. I was almost 4 years old and thought it was so great to have a little sister, and we are still the greatest friends. And then our family moved from Houston, Texas to Akron, Ohio because my dad's job transferred him there. They thought it was going to be for the long haul. It was a very big weather change, and there's no doubt about that. In 1986, when we were living in Akron, I got another new sister. So we had 3 girls in the family. Her name is Holly, and I love that she was born when I was almost 6 years old because I definitely had that little mama mentality, and I still remember having a baby sister and changing diapers and how fun that was. And the 3 of us to this day are still great friends. And less than a year later, Texas entered the picture again, and my dad's job was transferred back to Houston. And so we packed up all of our stuff, especially when we thought it was going to be long term. We packed up all of our stuff and moved back to Houston, Texas, just a different part of town. And after we had been in Houston for a few months, late one night, I called my dad and into the living room, and I wanted him to read the Bible and pray with me. And it was on June 10th, 1987, when I accepted Christ as my Savior. Hands down, the best decision I ever made in my life. Being a follower of Jesus is not always easy. There's a lot of stuff that comes along with it, but it is totally worth it. From 1st through 5th grade, I attended Moore Elementary. I made a lot of good friends there, and my years in elementary school, I have very, very fond memories. Had a great time. I was also on the jump rope team at the elementary school, and I did a video a little over a year ago showing you my jump rope skills that I still have in my 30s. And in 6th grade, for some reason, they took every new 6th grader in the entire district and put them in one school, and it was just a 6th grade school. And it was definitely my first introduction to junior high, if you catch my drift. Different pressures, different friends, different challenges. It was called Hamilton Intermediate, and I had a good time, but I have to say that with my education there, it was just not working. I was not challenged, not working as hard as I could. So in 1993, my parents made the loving decision to pull us out of public school and start homeschooling. And first it was going to be just me as a 7th grader, but then they decided to pull all 3 of us out at 7th, 4th, and 1st grade to homeschool. So you can see by the picture, I was not happy. I was really sad to leave all my friends. I didn't know anyone else who was homeschooled, and I was starting to feel very isolated. And being 13 sucks. And so when you throw in something like that, it's kind of the perfect storm. But then, by the grace of God, came along HCYA, Homeschool Christian Youth Association. This was a godsend for our family. All of this time, I thought that there were no other homeschoolers in the city. I thought homeschoolers were weird, and we kind of were, but it's okay. But I got into sports day with HCYA, and I made so many friends. It was a huge turning point. A lot of these new friends that I was making have been homeschooled for years, and they were normal. They were even really cool, and it was so wonderful to have this brand new group of friends, and we lived all over the city, and I was just so happy to finally be connected again, being the somewhat extrovert that I was. I was even part of the very first homeschool volleyball team in the state of Texas, and I actually got kind of good at it despite my 5'4", 5'5" height. And I spent 2 years on the junior varsity and 2 years on varsity. I learned a lot and got pretty good at it. And it's kind of funny because in junior high and high school, I actually used quite a bit of the Abeka video curriculum, which is kind of funny considering where we are now. Now, I never would have thought so, but homeschooling improved my confidence, my independence, and my work ethic so much, because I learned there that no one was just gonna hand me the answers. Nobody was gonna do this for me. And I learned that if I wanted to really grasp a concept, I had to take hold of it. And so that's why at the end of high school, my last 2 years of high school, I was able to take community college classes and earn dual credit because I had the flexibility of homeschooling. And then in 1999, I became a homeschool grad. We actually had a homeschool graduation there in Houston with 90-something other homeschool grads, and you wouldn't believe the amount of scholarship money in that room. It was kind of crazy. I didn't have much of it, or any of it, but it was so wonderful to be surrounded by such great influences, even in high school. My last 2 years of high school included a lot of doctor visits because that's when my headaches started getting really bad. And if you follow me for some time, you know I've been dealing with chronic headaches for a long time. And also found out that my scoliosis had gotten a lot worse. And this is a terrible drawing of my x-ray, but that is scoliosis, curvature of the spine. I will link my scoliosis story up in the cards for you so you can check out that whole thing. But the doctor told me that I needed to have surgery. So in August of 2000, when I was 19 years old, I spent about a week in the hospital having a spinal fusion with instrumentation surgery, and I have an 18-inch scar down my back and stainless steel rods that are attached to my spine. So kind of freaky, and it was not fun. Not a fun surgery at all. You take your back for granted until you need to use it, until you can't move it, and not so fun. I had to take a semester off of school to recover, but once I got back into my college classes, I worked so hard so that I could finally have good grades to transfer to my dream school, Texas A&M. It is the place I had wanted to go to since I was a little girl. I didn't even care what I majored in. I just wanted to go to A&M. So after working really hard to get my grades where they needed to be, I found out that I got into A&M, and I was so happy. My dad went to A&M, so I was indoctrinated from birth that it's the best school in the world, and it truly is. And from 2001 to 2004, I attended Texas A&M and got my Bachelor of Science in Community Health. And honestly, I didn't even know what I wanted to do with that, but thankfully I had good counselors who kind of guided me in the right direction. And while I was at A&M one summer, I got certified to be an EMT basic and actually worked for the rec medic department, and it was the most fun job I had had to that point. And then in 2004, after I graduated, I got my first real job. I was a science educator at the Health Museum in Houston, Texas. I taught science field trip classes and also dissected animal organs. Again, incredibly fun job. However, that job did not pay well, and so after searching in May of 2005, I packed everything I had in a little U-Haul and moved from Houston, Texas to Indianapolis, Indiana. I did not know a soul except the lady who hired me at WebMD. That was definitely a big step to take. And shortly after that, I found myself on a first date with a really sweet guy named Mike. We went to a Christmas banquet at church, and it was pretty quick. We realized that we were most definitely a perfect match. We knew pretty early on in our dating relationship that this was definitely gonna go all the way to marriage. And so after about 14 months of dating, Mike popped the question. It'll actually be 11 years next month of our engagement. So that's kind of crazy. And then in July of 2007, we tied the knot. Our wedding was the most amazing thing. It was perfect in every single way. My dress, my flowers, my bridesmaids, the groomsmen, the music, the food, everything was perfect. The weather was even perfect. No problems at all. It was one of the best days of my life. The first 3 years of our marriage, Mike and I saved up money like it was our job because we were dying to get out of our apartment and into our house. And we found that it was actually cheaper, especially in 2010, to buy a property and build a house on it instead of buying a used house. And so in June of 2010, we closed on our very first home, and we plan on being here forever. Please feel free to laugh at my expense at my drawing here. But in 2010, November of 2010, the day before Thanksgiving, we found out that we would be expecting Caleb. And it was so much joy. We only had to try about 3 or 4 months before we got pregnant, and we were just so over the moon thrilled. And then on July 29th of 2011, we had our sweet baby boy Caleb. I can link my birth story below if you would like to watch that. It's kind of a long story. Well, maybe this is cheating, I don't know, but I didn't feel like drawing this. But in early July, just 3 weeks before Caleb was born, we lost my mom to cancer after being diagnosed only 7 months earlier. So that was a really tough but joyful time. A year later, in the summer of 2012, I decided after 7 years it was time to leave WebMD and do something with a little bit more flexibility. So I started working with a small wellness company as an independent contractor health coach. Never turned back. It was such a great decision. It's given me more flexibility, and which is great when you have little kids. Then in January of 2013, we found out that we would be expecting another little baby with a weird baby bump. And that would be Braden. His pregnancy was not easy at all, lots of throwing up, but he was born healthy and wonderful on September 15th, 2013. And I can also link his birth story below as well. You notice the little curls on his head. The following winter of 2013 and 2014 was one of the coldest on record in Indiana. They called it the polar vortex. It affected the whole country, but especially the Midwest. And let me tell you, we had some pretty major cabin fever with a newborn and a 2-year-old. It was rough. During that time, I started thinking about starting my very own YouTube channel. I started watching YouTube when before I had Caleb, and decided to finally take the plunge in 2014. Then in 2015-16 school year, we put Caleb in a pre-K program. And while it was a good program, it was not a good fit for us, and we knew we had to do something different. And last fall of 2017 and now into spring of 2018, we are in our first year of homeschooling. And here's your full circle moment of the day. Here we are using a Becca video curriculum for Caleb in our first year of homeschooling, which is so funny because that's what I used as a homeschool student as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please be sure to give me a like or a thumbs up. And of course, if you are new here and you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see all the videos coming your way soon. And most importantly, go down to the video description box where I have a link so you can watch all of the other ladies who are participating in this collab today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!